Hey, it's Sophia Wren. Since I was in college, I have been thinking about how to improve my life and trying everything. I tried self-help books, going to therapy, a number of different healing professionals, and I finally found something that has really been the game changer.
My name's Sophia Wren, and here's some hard-fought wisdom I've learned that has 10x my healing journey.
At 21, when I got my first therapist, I thought that was the answer, right? Everybody said that. But I also read lots of self-help books. I did the exercises, all the exercises, but I felt like something was missing. It just was not enough to get me from here to there where I wanted to be. I felt some incremental change, of course. I was somebody with a lot of anxiety, been through a lot of traumatic events as a teen, emotional abuse, narcissistic abuse, and death of loved ones. So I had a lot of things to work through, and I knew there was so much further to go because I didn't feel great in my life. What did I do? I tried to write. I read the self-help book called The Artist's Way, and I did all of the exercises, including writing daily, morning pages, starting at 22. And weeks later, when I paged through my journal, I realized, wow, there's just so many things that I didn't think that I was going to write. I was really surprised by my thoughts and my feelings and all the things that I wrote down. It was like new information to me. Firstly, when I wrote it, it just seemed like a strange thing for me to write. And then when I reread it, I didn't really remember feeling that way. I had a lot to learn about myself. That's kind of how I figured it out, was just by writing things down every morning before I was too awake to censor myself, and then reading it back and kind of asking myself, like, did I really feel this way, or was this a passing thought? It was very confusing, and I felt like I had a lot of questions about something you'd think you'd understand, you'd think you'd know how you feel, but not everybody does. So it turned out that I need to go deeper. I mean, obviously a therapist could help me with some of those questions, but I really had to take individual responsibility for myself. I couldn't just wait for the universe to show me what to do in my life, although I do that as well. But I had to really start to work to understand myself, my life, and to try to remember the lessons that I was learning so that I can actually make changes and address the gaps in my life. So I had to start to address these gaps in my understanding of my life. Like, maybe there were things that I was putting up with, and that's why I felt so dumped on like a doormat. Maybe it's because I was allowing things that I didn't like to continue on instead of recognizing, hey, I don't like that, and doing something about it. The second thing, maybe I needed to change what my expectations were. Our expectations can cause a lot of pain. I know they do for me, including for other people, what I expect of others, but a lot of what I expect out of myself is really not fair and create a lot of stress and disappointment. But also, maybe I had no idea about what I really wanted. And I know that's definitely been true of my 20s. Sometimes I still feel that way, that lost, confused feeling like, what do I even do with all of this? Because I don't really know what I want. If you've grown up like I have, where you've had to kind of compromise a lot, you can fall out of touch with those things really easily. I had to get the answers. I was so motivated. Since I was younger, in my 20s, I really began on this lifelong healing journey. I don't know if I'll ever get to the end, but I'm definitely a lot further than I was, and I wanted to share some of the things that have helped me. The first is just a mindset change. I think that we have so many people who say that they have the answer, say that they have the solutions, and the thing is that nobody else, at least for me, what I found is nobody else has my solution. My life isn't the same as anyone else's, so they can't tell me 100% what to do. Even people who think that they know me really well, like best friends or family or anything, you have to take everything with a grain of salt that someone suggests to you because you're an individual. That said, they might have really great things to say or even just to try out. But it's your responsibility to find your unique formula. And you're the one that's going to do that, not anybody else. Although you can get help. And do you wish you could buy that unique formula in the stores? Yes, of course. I know I do. But, and I love learning from people. I spent a ton of money on online courses and getting my master's and getting mentored and so many areas of my life and my career, my writing, and my business. And the thing is that all those things are great, but you do have to, like I said, discern, know yourself and what's right for you. You can't blame anybody else for ignoring how you really feel. So I needed to go inside of myself to gain the clues that I needed. And from those clues, I could invent my own formula. So the answers for me were not just what other people told me, although again, helpful, but the biggest clues, the real missing pieces were inside of me the whole time. And so writing was one way to try to get it out, but it wasn't the only thing. So here I am, it's like 16 years later, I'm 36. And the last 2 years, I found a tech tool to help me to maximize my healing journey, maximize my memory, my creativity, my productivity. I want to share about the application that I've been using. It's a free application, but also the way I've been using it to create what I call an Encyclopedia of Me, where I have all the information I need to begin to understand myself better. And it's from this process help me learn a lot about myself. I remember things better. I'm able to access information better, way better than just keeping things in journals. It's just so easy for those journals to go on a shelf and those insights to go away until you open it years later and regret that you didn't do something about those insights in the first place. I'm finally doing something about those insights in the first place, and I really want to inspire other people with it as well. So the answers are in myself. I have to find my formula. I've tried writing. Writing is really great. It was what helped me see from the beginning that there was something I needed to gather, because I could see what I wrote and how I felt was so different than what I've remembered. But things were still falling in the cracks with these notebooks, so I knew that there was juice, like an orange juice, that I wasn't squeezing out of them. And I was so sick of feeling fragmented with all my ideas strewn around all these different notebooks, and then I would have all these different documents, and just try as I might, there's never really found anything that could help me connect all of the dots. And I was really sick of repeating cycles in my life, in my business, in my writing, or feeling kind of stuck at a certain plateau and unable to get to my real potential. And I needed a way to bring all of those insights, those parts, those ideas and thoughts together into a cohesive whole, even though they really were not neat and proper. And my mind is not neat and proper. I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's my brain, I don't know if it's my trauma, whatever. I don't care, because I found something that helps. So there is a free application called Obsidian that I have been using. It organizes things into more of like a web and less of like a folder tree. Just so you know, mine is purple lavender. You don't have to have it be purple. Only if you want it to be purple. You can change the color. Anyway, I like purple. And so it leaves a lot of room for us to do creative things like categorize journal entries across different emotions and different topics and connect ideas to multiple different places. So you can access things sideways rather than having to know exactly what folder it's in. You can remember, oh yeah, that had something to do with this, and you can kind of find it through the different themes and topics, and including stuff you forgot you even wrote, which is what happens to me. So I decided to do that. I've been bringing all my ideas together, my writing together, along important themes in my life. And I'm noticing that I'm rapidly becoming a whole new person. In fact, the last few years I've grown out my hair. A big reason for that was because my father died, and I knew that who I was before was essentially dead. I now have no living parents. I'm an only child. I'm only 36. My dad died when I was 34. My mom died when I was 3. It's just really young, and I'm not prepared to deal with this. None of my peers have had this experience. Many adults have not had this experience that I know, like adults is older than me. And it feels very lonely at times. I'm blessed for everyone who's reached out, especially people who have had a similar experience, just to know I'm not alone. But, you know, it's something like that that really can spur you to change everything about yourself. And I decided to grow my hair as part of that because I didn't know what I was gonna be entering into. All I knew is that the door behind me had to close. So growing my hair out after 15 years of it being a pixie cut seemed like a good way to let the world know that something was happening, that I'm different now. And I've been starting to lean into this whole new person that I'm becoming, and it's been a really big upgrade is what I have made it to be. So what is an Encyclopedia of Me? What is this fabulous thing I've been doing? So it's the instruction manual to myself that I always wanted. It's like a private Wikipedia for my thoughts, my feelings, my goals, my intentions, and my history. It's got everything I need for me to understand myself. It's also connected to all of my work projects for my business and my writing. And my to-do list and so many other things, but this is a particular area of it that I use to make connections. Every time I look at it, I understand myself a little bit better. I remember what's been important to me over the years and what's important to me now. I feel really connected to myself, and I feel really connected to my priorities, not just goals, not just projects, because those things change and sometimes we don't even care later, but the things that really matter, I'm so much more in tune with them, and I get ideas and I get inspired and I get excited every time I work with this Encyclopedia of Me. It's very much a living document. So yeah, so how did I create it, and how can you create it if you're interested? So I created this encyclopedia with the use of an app called Obsidian. I have been using it a few years now. It is great. It is free. You can pay for a few upgrades, but I use it for free for a long time and I really liked it. And I've been writing about this journey in my blog. If you are interested in other things related to this, do check it out, put the link in the comments. But I just wanted to share one of my experiences. So what happened was I noticed feelings that I wanted to make note of for later, you know? And if I'm writing my journal, some days are more significant than others. Some feelings are more significant than others. And if you know how easy it is to forget things, then you have a little worry in the back of your mind that this is really significant, but like, I don't really know how to make sure that this gets attention later on when life gets busy. Days will go by, this journal entry will get lost, and now what? So I had this thought about, you know, I really want to remember this later. How am I going to do that? That's the question. How am I going to remember it? What can I do now to help myself in the future access this information from another area? Because words can escape me, the exact date may escape me, but how can I connect it to something else that I will remember? So I thought, okay, this is a feeling I want to remember. What if I don't remember the name of the feeling, but I do remember it was a certain feeling? And I'm like, you know, it's like if you're studying US history, you might not remember about a particular ship that came to America. But hey, you may remember it has to do with colonialism. And you could go over to that Wikipedia page and you could find, you know, the Nina and the Pinta or whatever from there, because you have one of the overarching topic ideas. So the overarching topic for a feeling is the word feelings. And I was like, what if I just create a directory of all of my feelings, which will connect to all of the times I'm talking about my feelings in my journal? Whoa, yes, I did that. Okay, so I created a directory page about all of my emotions, because then when I want to explore my feelings and I don't particularly remember which one I want to hone in on, I can access this directory, look at the list of all the feelings, and bam, find the one that's drawing me in that moment. And that will connect me to the entries about those feelings. Wow. Okay. So when I want to dive into my healing and my emotions, I have one place to access them all. And I thought it was so genius. After working with it, I was like, we need to talk about this publicly. So I named what I created emotional states. Okay, I didn't really call it feelings, I called it emotional states because that's a little bit bigger than feelings. And I called it emotional states MOC. MOC is an acronym created, I believe, by Milo. It stands for Map of Content. You can go explore that, but it's basically just like a directory. in short. So if you want to find out more about Nick Milo and all of his great stuff, you can do that. He's here on YouTube. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. So when I first started, I just had a blank page, and then I decided to just write down a bunch of emotions that I thought I might want to look up in the future, or things that I actually already had taken note of, because I've been using Obsidian for 2 years, and every time I put in a piece of writing, I make a note of the general things it's talking about. Sometimes I'm talking about something I'm angry about, sometimes I'm talking about something I'm really happy about. I basically mark the topic of that with a little sign. So what you do in Obsidian is you do bracket, bracket, say the word, bracket, bracket, and that ties everything together. The little teeny bracket. I had already marked a few pieces of my writing that way with like bracket, bracket, anger, bracket, bracket, anger. So when I made my list of emotions, it was really easy for me to just pull up these words and pull them into a list, because I'd already started pulling these out in the past. But there were some other ones that I thought of that I added that were like new ones to explore in the future. And as I added different emotions to my list, I started to separate them into different groups. So now it was time to organize. So I had a list, now it was time to put them. I thought, positive feelings is one category, difficult feelings is another. This is how I started to organize mine. You might do it differently. I also thought, hey, it makes sense to add some tools that support my emotions as a category, or teachers I'm resonating with right now. And finally, I decided to add an area that was really interesting to me of just things that I'm exploring about relationships I have to things, like time, my relationship to time. I'm always speeding. Am I rushing? Am I feeling pressured for time? Am I able to take a breath? That urgency really gets to me in my mental health. So my relationship to time is something I'm working on. So stuff like that, my relationship to work, my relationship to releasing control. Those aren't feelings, but they're related. So I just put those categories together, and now I can really look at the final result. And I can even collapse some of these headers to make them smaller, so that way they don't take up so much space when I look at it. I can really zoom out. It's like Wikipedia. When I click on that link, it sends me to a different page where I can see every time I've noted that and marked it as important in my journal. And this is not the same as a search, because I can do that as well. This is literally me saying, hey, this is an important entry about anger. Hey, this is an important entry about patience. Hey, this is an important entry about self-love. And I want to be able to find this later when I'm thinking of this topic. So now all of that is easily accessible in this like master list. And that is my Encyclopedia of Me. Just looking at this gave me so many reminders about things I had forgotten about and I hadn't thought about in a really long time. Old studies. I read one about maximizers and satisficers, which I read in Real Simple a while back. That was a really interesting study about people who pick up a menu at a restaurant and how much effort and time they spend deliberating on what is the most delicious thing. I reminded myself that this exists at the period of time when I made my Encyclopedia of Me. I've talked to a bunch of people about this study, and the other day I was in the restaurant and my husband reminded me not to be a maximizer and to be a satisficer with my menu selection. So there you go. Now I had a in-person reminder because of this tool making me dig through old things, talking about it, and damn did it come back to hit me right back in the face in a good way. And I had a delicious meal, so it's fine. These books I've read, experiences I've had, different things that I've written about that were really important to me that day that it's so easy to get lost. I finally had a way to just click, 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 get there in a second, faster than the internet because it's actually on my computer. And as I did that, I kind of continued to make new connections and new organization of the encyclopedia that has been such a healing practice. It's very fun for me. And so like fear, I decided, is basically all the same, you know, all these different fears I might have about being visible or vulnerable or out of control. Really, fear is the same emotion. And although it seems so important to my mind to pinpoint exactly what I'm afraid of, and so much so that my mind hates the idea that it's all the same. No, it's not. These are very specific, distinct fears. It is actually really good to observe that they're all just fear. It's all just emotion. And wow, if I really were to pay a lot of attention to that, it might help me not take it so seriously. So the process of clicking around to create this encyclopedia is just as enjoyable and eye-opening as the final product, which is this amazing directory of all of my entries on these different feelings. And I'm still playing with it. I'm continuing to add new journal entries, and I can note again if they relate to these things. I've had other important emotional states come up that I'm like, I just gotta add them to the list, and bam, it's very easy to come back to this and link it all up. Although this directory for my feelings was something that I created on a whim, it's been such a huge addition to my life, and I know I'll reference it for years to come. It's really just bouncing off of other notes that I've created in the system, and I would love to assist you and support you in learning more about Obsidian. If you're interested, there's a lot of great stuff here on YouTube if you want to teach yourself, but it also is sometimes fun to get people together in a community. So I'm starting a membership where we're going to be working on our databases and our notes and our writings and our journal together. Really excited. Remember, this does not need to be anal. The point of this was that I didn't know I was going to make this all the times that I was writing a journal entry and just decided, hey, anger is an important theme in this. Let me just write that down so that later I can find it if I want to know all the times I was angry or whatever. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. It just was something I did on a whim, something I did with a gut feeling. You don't have to be like an architect to be organized. You can do something without understanding how it's all going to fit together in the future. You can kind of try stuff and then create a system that works for you based on what you're actually going to be doing with it. And so I'm like a gardener. I can wander around the garden of my ideas and my emotions, trimming, organizing, growing things as I please, and it feels super good. Not only am I growing something, but I'm enjoying myself. I'm not like an architect building a house ahead of time. That's not really my style. And if it's not yours, it's okay. You can still get more organized. That's my end statement for you. But I'll be working on this Encyclopedia of Me as well as all of my notes for many years to come to advance my healing journey. Again, I don't know that healing ever ends, but I know that I've come a long way. I'm really listening to myself and taking myself and my ideas seriously and my feelings, even though I'd rather dismiss them because they can be so inconvenient sometimes and hard to understand. But I would really have loved to have this encyclopedia 15 years ago at the start of my healing journey. And if you are trying to heal yourself or you're from your past, I really do recommend this tool and give it a shot. Be happy to hear how it goes for you, to have everything that you write in one place, your journals, things about your dreams, your ideas, your emotions. In 2 years, I've made over 3,000 notes with Obsidian, and it's all on my computer. I still legitimately find it easy to find things, easier than ever really, because I have a place where all of me lives coherently together, and I don't feel so fragmented anymore. I remember things better. I find things better. I feel like my ideas are becoming more developed and better in my writing and in my work. But surprisingly, my personal life has been where I really felt like this was the most important benefit that I gained, to have everything in a cohesive whole, to know what's important to me, to make better choices, to feel more positive emotions because I'm telling myself often that those are important to me, and to ultimately live a better life. This is like 10 times X all of the healing, creative, productivity stuff I've done before, and it's really helping my writing as a professional writer, publishing articles. And I want to ask you, if you're thinking about doing something like this, how would you organize information about yourself? What are the questions that you ask, the things that you don't understand? Because you might not be like me. I find emotions very perplexing. What do you find confusing or complex in your life or in your healing journey? What would you organize if you could understand it better? Would you make a directory to think more about your feelings, or would it be something else? You don't have to tell me if it's private, but I am curious. If you want to share in the comments below, how would you bring your notes and ideas together? Do you have a way to do that now, or are you looking for something else? What's important to you, and where you might keep your ideas in your writing? Like I said, for me, it's important to have everything in one place that connects to my emotions and my personal life, because everything relates to my personal life. It doesn't matter if it's my business or volunteering for a nonprofit, it all connects to me and how I'm feeling and my capacity, and all those things are related to my mental health, and just everything connects in my world. But that might not be important to you. What is important to you? I had a lot of fun recording this video. I'm really excited about my upcoming group, the Digital Organization Membership. Do you ever feel like your ideas are really scattered? Do you feel like you write journals that you never reread again, or at least put away for a long time until you realize you really missed an opportunity by not taking advantage of it sooner? Or do you feel very overwhelmed by your ideas because there's just too many of them and you're not sure what to do next? Love to help you to get more organized. In the Digital Organization Membership, we're all going to be working together on getting more organized, and it's a regular routine kind of thing, although I am happy to show you my 2 systems, one for project management in Notion and one for organizing all my ideas together by different themes in Obsidian. So I would love to share what I'm doing with you and do it with you over the course of 3 months. This summer 2024 will be the first round, and see below for the wait list where you can get half price if you sign up for the early bird special when it becomes available soon. So that link below will take you to the wait list to hear about more. And I also will put links below to my blog posts on the topic of digital organization if you want to hear more, like the things I talked about in this video. Okay, see ya. Thanks. Since I was in college, and hey, by the way, I like purple. You might not like purple, but I like purple. So mine is purple, but you can change the color to be whatever you want.